Hello everyone. This is Clossi and I'm back with another Clossi Approach video, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to do the another example of the 19Q section, simply because we just don't have any 19Qs. Everyone in chat is just too strong, and we waited around for like 30-40 minutes trying to get a 19 to 17Q, and I wanted to get you guys a video. So if you're a 19 to 17Q, check us out on Wednesdays. We still need a few more games at that level, but we're going to go ahead and do the next section, which is 17 to 15Q. Because we do have a 15Q distracted practice who volunteered. This will be the second time he's actually volunteered to be one of our test dummies. So thank you, distracted practice, for volunteering and letting us play you. Okay, so the way this is going to work, so 19Q to 17Q, we talked about doing defense and big moves, and we only attack when they come in our area. So all we're really going to do different is just identify when our opponents don't have a base, and then we're still going to play defense first, but then we're going to play offense. We're going to attack things that don't have a base, and then we're going to play the big move. And that's the only thing we're adding. So it's not too different. It's still going to be very similar, but I wanted to show more at the 19 to 17Q that you can get away with just defense and big moves. But due to lack of volunteers and my chat just mostly being single-digit Q, we are going to have to just move on and just get more games just to give you guys more examples. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to send a challenge. This will be a Clossi Approach game. We'll do 5 minutes. We'll do 10 minutes because it's 19 by 19. 10 minutes. And for if you're wanting to play yourself, I think 10 to 15 minutes is a good number for the average game, just to get yourself a good number of games, but it's not too fast. My color will be random. Komi will be okay. Handicap none. Not ranked. All right, send challenge. And let's go ahead and do this. And again, we're just going to apply the Clossi Approach. We're going to apply the Clossi Approach, and we're just going to do our best. Okay, so let's do 2, 3, 4 points. I don't think I've done that yet. So have a good game. Let's just do 2, 3, 4 points. I'm out of water. All right. Don't tell my wife, but I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. My wife never watches my videos, so I think I'm safe. I think I'm safe, guys. Okay, so we got 2, 3, 4 points. So open sides, bottom, right, and top. So since they're equal, I'm just going to build mine. And in closing with this is called a Shamari. Fourth line goes down to the third line with a 1 space. So it's a knight's move, and now third line on this side, third line on that side. It's really solid corner position, so it's actually really nice. So I played the open side, and I also played an enclosure, and I really like that. So now the next open side is over here. So I can play another one, but since I just played that one, I want to show you guys something else. We can also do a 5-space extension. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a 5-space extension. You want to extend from the open corner, not the Shamari, because the open corner is a little bit bigger. Or the unenclosed corner. It's a little bit bigger, so it would be here. But you can also go here because we have support on both sides. And the Clossi Approach does tell us to play fourth line if we have support on both sides. So we can just play this one. This is fine. But third line is also fine here. It might even be a little bit easier. But this more points to like Sanrense formations, like the 3-star formations and stuff like that. Like if you had 2 star points, you wouldn't go on the third line. You'd go on the fourth line because it's a development opening. All right, he's doing the same thing. All right. So now we don't really have an open side. We have an enclosure here and an enclosure here. So the top and bottom are not open. So now we have the next thing, which is open corners, open sides. Now our largest framework. The frameworks are about equal. So I would say there's 2 things we can do. We can build ours, or we can reduce our opponents. And usually we want to build ours. Because if it's both equal, it's just easier to play on yours. But the approach here also feels really nice. So approach, and then I can jump back and maybe build, or I can just play an extension. I can play an extension. I can play a shoulder hit to reduce while building. These are all ideas that I can do. I don't really have a good 1-point jump. Like maybe a 1-point jump here might be okay. That's also potentially fine at this level. But I think being active on these sides are not quite open, but they're a little bit distant. So maybe being active while building. But the whole point is just build your position bigger. So let's just play another extension. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 space jump. So let's just go here. Maybe not an ideal spot, but it's an okay spot. We don't have to play perfect. And I just want to show you imperfect play is okay too. Probably a more active would be an approach or shoulder hit, just to limit white while building ourselves. And that would kind of be the idea here. But the idea is just we both have positions. So let's build it. Okay, so this stone is getting close to white, and it doesn't have a base. So I can jump back and make a base like this. Normally base is on the 3rd line, but we have support on both sides, so we go 4th line. Yeah, I'll do that. That way, when your opponent slides, I can show you guys how to handle that if he slides. But basically, if he slides right here, I just play diagonal. He pushes, then I block with a Hane. And then I just block this area. That's the way I handle it. But it should be pretty easy. Someone said not a 3-3 invasion. 3-3 would have also been fine. I was just trying to build the large framework. But 3-3 would have also been acceptable there. Alright, so he approached. So now I can enclose this corner. When they approach your 3-4 on this side, you can just enclose. It's kind of like an easy response. You can just enclose. But you could have also played a shoulder hit to develop. You could have also taken the base. But usually, if they approach your 3-4 on this side, enclosing the corner is really big. But any response down here would have been okay. You could have attacked, you could have build, you could reduce with a shoulder hit. It's all fine. But he was also getting near me, so I also kind of want a base. So maybe I should have just thought about this a little bit more. I just know this is a really good move, so I kind of instantly played it. Okay, he's actually playing really safe, so I'm not getting to apply a lot of attacking principles. Okay, so largest framework. There's no baseless groups, so largest framework is probably blacks. We want to keep building it. We've already built it up top, so now let's start building it on the bottom. So maybe a cap, or shoulder hit. So let's just do caps. Caps are pretty nice. Now we have a line right here. That's looking like a pretty nice line. We're just building our position. And we're building it until this one becomes bigger. And what we're doing is drawing a line from stone to stone. White is getting close to getting bigger, but it still looks about the same. So I'm just going to build mine. And then the moment whites becomes bigger, then I'll just go on whites. Alright, so as long as it looks about the same, I'm just going to keep building. So I don't want to push from behind, so I can play knight's move to get ahead. Check my cut. Cut leads into a fight in my area, which I am happy with. This is my area. I control it. Okay, so I'm just going to keep jumping up. Okay. So if they push, you should expect the cut, but I checked the cut, so I'm okay. I'm not caught off guard. Alright, if he's going to force me to fix my cut, then I'm just going to fix my cut. Okay, I mean, if they force you to fix it, you should be happy. Like, now I have no weakness there. Like, yeah, I was fine with fighting there. I'm confident I can control the fight there. But if now I don't even have a fight, I'm happy with it. Why not extend to 0-5? That fixes it with the ladder, and that's probably better. But I'm trying to just play things I think you would play at 15Q. 0-5 would be better, like, at single digit Q. But it requires a little bit more reading, I guess. I don't know. I want double digit Qs to build the habit of connecting cuts first. Then you could talk about other stuff. Okay, I think mine is still bigger, so I'm just going to cap and block. I think mine's still bigger for now. But yeah, for double digit Qs, I want the habit of just fix your cuts first with a solid connection. Then we can talk about the exceptions after. But build this habit first. All right, is it still bigger? Okay, this is a good way to estimate this. Is let's draw a line down the center of the board, okay? Center of the board. Now, on the top, I have some area over here. On the bottom, white has some area right here. So let's say those cancel out. And now, white's one line away from the center, and I'm one line away from the center. So I can go right here, and it's about the same, But as soon as white goes right here, now white's on that center line, and I won't be. So at this point, I think white's will be bigger. All I'm doing is just drawing a line in the center, just using some basic logic, right? I'm not actually counting. I'm not doing any advanced conclusions or anything. I'm just watching a center line for this section right here. Just simplify it, right? How do you determine if something's bigger than something else? Just draw a line in the center, right? And just see where everyone's at. But the top and bottom cancel out. Oh, so he's going to keep it even. So I can keep blocking. Okay. It's still even. So I'm just going to keep blocking mine. This is an interesting game. All right, so he's pushing, so block. Okay. I actually forgot to talk about the cuts. But I knew these cuts aren't cuttable, but the habit we're supposed to be doing here is if he pushes, I cut right there with a ladder. If he jumps through, I block and cuts, then I go with the ladder. Like I was supposed to be saying that out loud just so you know that I'm checking the cuts. I just knew these weren't cuttable, so that was my mistake. So maybe you could say I didn't check the cuts. So here, like, oh no, let's check the cuts. So push, cut, Nobi, and he has nowhere to go. If he pushes and cuts, that's a ladder. If he jumps in, then Atari's, then goes down 1 2 3 to 1 2 3. So probably this one is forcing because it threatens that cut. So let's just block. And now if he jumps through and Atari's and goes down, I block 1 2 to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so now this cut's okay. And I've also blocked some area, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, this is second line. Is this my base? Nah. I'm connected over here. I have all the space over here. This is not a base. It can be a base, but like I have so much eye space. Like, hopefully that makes sense, that I just have eye space. Okay, so it's not eye space. So, okay, if it's not a base, then is it the big move? No, because this area is just some points, but this is not the largest framework. It's hard to calculate the points at this level, so don't worry about it. Just say, is it my base? And I'm like, maybe, but if you think it's your base, then block. But if it's not your base, then you have to think, okay, I'm alive, so it's not my base. So then is it the largest framework? Absolutely not. So the largest framework, both black and whites, but black's is blocked and white's is not. So I'm going to go play on the largest framework. So I'm just going to jump in and reduce. I can also invade, but reducing is just enough on this board. And reducing is usually easier than invading. So I'm just going to reduce. 1 point jump, stay connected. Simple enough. Simple enough. All right. And I'm just going to walk in while staying connected. Watch your connections. So I'm not just going to go crazy and jump diagonally and get cut. I could 1 point jump, I think, but maybe Nobi's just more solid here. He's pushing me from behind, so I'm just going to be solid and push in. And now you can see that my influence line is right here, but his influence line is pushed back. Now, if you really want to make the comparison, I potentially can still lose my top side, and he will have his bottom. But while I'm losing the top, he's going to be losing this. So if he goes for the top and I go for this, who's getting more? That looks a lot bigger. And then if I push this until I can't anymore, and then go back and block the top, then I got all this for free. So that's why you play in the largest framework. If it's not attack and defense, be on the largest framework. Okay. We're just going to push. This does look like in-game, but I'm threatening a whole area, so it's okay. I'm not just pushing for 1 or 2 points. I'm pushing for like a chunk of area. Okay. I'm just gonna keep pushing, staying connected. If I think the shape looks funny, I'm not gonna do it. I could read it, and I could potentially get in further here, but I'm not gonna worry about it because we don't really read anything but cutting points at this level. And if I can just walk in and take your points with easy shape, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make the game easy on myself. Okay, so there is something we could do here. There's something we can do here. Because defense is watch your cutting points, watch your bases, right? But at 17 to 15Q, we should also be watching our opponent's bases and our opponent's cutting points. Now, we haven't really had an opportunity to watch their bases because he's been really safe this game. So this isn't a good example of taking the bases, but I see cutting points. Guess what I should do? You know how I check my cutting points all the time? Well, guess what? I should also check theirs after I'm done checking mine. Check mine first, but if I'm okay, then let's check theirs, okay? So let's do the dominoes. There's 3 cutting points, so doot. Oh, he just fixes it. Okay, well, it's not dominoes then. Okay, so let's Atari here. He connects. Atari here. He goes there. And I can't really go anywhere yet. But one thing I notice is that if I go down, he has 2 liberties, but he goes down. However, if I'm clever, I can recognize that if I block right here, like this, then it actually, I Atari, and then I Atari. I actually activate the cutting point. Okay? And this is going to win you games if you can recognize your opponent's cutting points. Now, here's one thing I did not do. I did not play it out first and then see if it worked. I did it in my head. At 20 Qs, you can play it out and see what it looks like. But out of the 20 Qs, now you can't just try it because now you will lose points if you're wrong. We're not playing with the Chinese rules, and even if you were playing with the Chinese rules, you might potentially lose some push. You might just die, right? And you don't want to do that. You want to try it in your head, and you only want to do it if you see how it works. You can't do it if you don't see it. Okay? So I see that Atari. Okay, and let's try to counter. Atari, connect, I just take. That's fine. So I just see that it works. Okay, and he blocked it. He saw it too. Well, guess what? I'm gonna keep going in. But maybe you can catch your opponent off guard. But if you Atari first and then push, you just like revealed your plan, and you like lower the chances of your opponent missing it. Like you don't hope or you don't expect your opponent to miss it, but you also don't like tell them that they have a problem. You just say, "Hey, poke. Oh, you didn't fix? Punch in the face," right? That's how you do it. I'm just gonna keep walking in. I'm watching like all the cutting points and stuff right now. So this is a powerful technique, and this is what's going to start causing you to win games rapidly. Is if you have no cutting points and no groups that are attackable, and your opponent does have attackable groups and does have cutting points, and you can activate them. Oh, it's going to be deadly. Okay, so I'm going to push. And you can see it's so hard for white to block here. Because cutting points. Okay, there's cutting points, so let's check. Atari, or cut, Atari, take. Don't really see anything. But all I see is this push being threatening. So let's try the other side. Boom, 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 boom. Atari there. I don't know. Push Atari. Is that a ladder? No, because he captures and there's nothing over here. So nothing yet, but I know that taking this Liberty is Sente because it threatens the cutting point. So if the cutting point doesn't work on this turn, okay, well guess what? I can keep pushing in and it'll also activate the cutting point. I can, if it doesn't work yet, then take a Liberty and Sente, because I'm not just going to take a Liberty and force him to fix if I don't also gain value. I'm also threatening to walk in his points. So I'm not just going to go right here and force him to fix, because I get no value for having stone right there. But I do get value for having stone right here. Alright, and so the cutting point activated. Alright, so... I don't know which one's. I think this one's bigger, but whatever. I don't care. I'm not counting. I'm just going to cut through the position. Cutting points. So this is one thing that I wasn't doing at 19Q that I can do now that I'm 17. Now that I'm 17Q is I can cut my opponent. Now, this one I might have done at 19Q, but like checking these, I probably wouldn't have done at 19Q. I was too worried about my stuff at 19Q. But once you're okay, once you have no problems, then you can start thinking about your opponent's stuff. But what you cannot do is check your opponent's cutting points when your whole group is cut off and dying. That doesn't make sense. Okay. Let's keep pushing the area. Okay, Atari. Cut, Atari. I don't see anything. Okay. I can keep pushing here, but this area is getting pretty small. It's no longer a giant chunk, it's just the corner. So not yet. So let's push the chunk. So let's go here. Threaten that cutting point while also threatening the area. Large frameworks. We want to stay on large frameworks. Don't get distracted and don't get tunnel vision. This is one thing that you have to be careful of, is getting tunnel vision. When the area gets small, okay, you need to start asking, is this the big framework? Okay. So let's push the big framework. Yes, I see the cutting point. And I can do that after I push the big framework. Activate the cutting point when this is the big area. But push the big framework first. Push the big framework first. Largest framework. Okay. I think now we're in endgame. Because there's no more large framework. This is mine, but like it's mine. Why now this is getting too late to invade because I've already blocked the escape routes. There's no escape routes. So now when your opponent invades, you can actually do step 3 attacks instead of step 2. So if step 1 is take the base, step 2 is surround. Well, guess what? It's already surrounded. So you can actually go to step 3, which is reduce the eye space, which also does step 1, take the base. It just does it more powerfully. If he invades, I'll show you. So we're starting Yosei. So look for Sente moves. So second line Sente first. So this one's definitely Sente. So I can Atari and go here. I can push the border and Sente here. Do my free stuff first. Free stuff first. Okay, free stuff first. Okay, now I can do this. Now I can cut. Okay, so who wants to fight a Ko? This is a good idea, but I don't know. I don't know if I should explain this or not. But usually in the Ko, take once. So blocking, just giving it up would have been better. Which is, I shouldn't have cut in the first place. I should have just blocked and Sente, and then went and played down here. That would have been better, but it's okay. I didn't think the Ko was... Okay, so it's not. Okay. Never mind. It's not big. It's fine. So fix the Ko. Or I can cut. Yeah, let's just cut. He takes a Ko and Sente. Sente's more important. Sente is more important. So I go here, and if he fixes, then I can block and Sente and go down here. Sente is more...
Undo requested. Okay. Undo granted.
Sente is more important. Okay, so he's threatening to go in, so I'm going to block. I could block. So this is the area. So maybe this is the simplest shape. for this level. I think this one's slightly better, but whatever. Let's just play simple shapes. It's fine. I don't need anything fancy. I just need to block. I just need to do my job. They're threatening my area. I'm going to block. But this one is technically better because the cutting point didn't work. But it's okay. It's okay. That's Sente. Atari, Ane, Atari, connect. So I'm still connected, but he can push one. One is okay. He goes here. I bamboo joint. He pushes, I block.
10, 9, 8, 7.
If you're worried about it, guess what?
5,
if you're worried about 4, this double peep,
3,
so you can block,
2.
But I can also block this way. Maybe this is too much. But I'm constantly thinking, I want Sente, I want Sente, I want Sente. I want to ignore if I can. What's stopping me from playing right here? Well, this double peep. Well, I just fixed it. Okay, connect, because I'm an Atari. I just fixed it while also threatening a point. Maybe that's too much. Maybe if you just want to fix, fixing's fine. It's fine. It's fine if you think that's worth fixing. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm just trying to, like, push your boundaries. Like, fight for Sente. Be greedy about Sente. Okay, where can I push? I can push right here, because if he blocks right here, that's points. So I can push these. This feels technically, if ooh, is it Sente? Cut. Nobi down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This might be Sente. Okay. He said it was Sente. Yeah, watch those cutting points. Okay, so now we can do our normal looking Sente that we know at this level. This one is hard to think about, but this one's easy. Just second line Sente, first line Sente. Easy peasy. We know this one. We do this one all the time. All right. So pushing Sente. This is arguably Gote, but I don't think we've learned that at 15Q. But just keep pushing the borders as much as you can. But the reason this one's Gote is because if he ignores and I push, he can still block. So if he can still block on the next move, then it's just 1 point. So arguably it's not Sente, but maybe it's too much to understand at this level. All right, so I can block here. So now I don't have any Sente left, right? Well, maybe I do.
10, 9, 8.
Yep, I do. Sente first, Sente first. Yeah, but we're getting more and more concepts. It's starting to get a little complex now. I'm noticing, like, now that we're getting to like 17Q, we're combining a lot of stuff that we've learned so far. And that's kind of the thing, is you add on knowledge and then combine it with the knowledge you already have, and now you start getting more complex things. Some more complex reasonings. Okay. Next move. Any push? Nope. So I can block right here. White can push me right
10,
here.
9,
so
8,
I can
7,
block.
6, 5.
This one seems bigger. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not actually counting it. I'm just eyeballing which one looks bigger. It doesn't matter. Just play a big move. That's all it is. I don't have any Sente left, so just play a big move. I'm just eyeballing which one looks bigger. At single digit Q, we'll start counting them. But right now, just eyeball it. Pick the big one. Okay, we're gonna block. If I block this way and he pushes, I have like cutting points, so I'm gonna block this way. He pushes, I block, and then block. Okay, I can read. I think you can read that, right? I don't think that's too high level. It's just we have 2 blocks. Read them, or just which one works better. Which one has the least amount of cutting points? Just don't rush. Don't just say, I can block here, I'm going to block here. No, just, like, if you have 2 blocks, consider them. Think about them. Which one looks better? Which one has better shape? This is a common pitfall. This is what will cost you the game, like, near the end. Is where you're like, okay, I just want to finish the game. My opponent will push, and I'll just block. I don't care. And then you're like, oops, that activated something bad. Well, guess what? If you have more than one response, consider them both. Don't just rush it. You have an infinite amount of 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to block, My cutting point is okay because I just Nobi and he has nowhere to go. These two cuts are tiger's mouths, so I'm watching my cutting points, watching my shape, playing strong shape. I think the hardest thing at this level probably is moving and blocking with strong shape. Like right here, white struggled with it. I think it's the hardest thing at this level is watching your cutting points in your shape and seeing which, and just blocking with shapes that have less cutting points. The way you do this is game reviews and practice, right? You play games, you get them reviewed, people show you better shapes. Shapes comes with practice and experience. So if you really, really, really want good shapes, you can... Okay, so that's cutting point, so okay. You can, 1, play lots of games and get lots of reviews. Okay, 2, you can watch other people's game reviews. 3, you can replay... a really good idea is to replay, if you really want shapes, is replay old Japanese pro games, like the 1800s and 1900s. Modern games, the shape is way too complex. It's just too difficult. But if you wanted to get an idea of shape flow, you don't have to understand the game, the pro games. You don't have to understand what's happening too much. Just get an idea of their flow of moves, their flow of shape. Like, check their cutting points. You don't have to understand it perfectly, but that can be a good practice as well. But shapes come with practice. But I'm trying to show you how the shapes work, like how to move without getting cut. That is what you're learning at this level. All right, 10, so I can block right here, but I'm just going to do that. Same thing. The cutting point doesn't work. Just the Tari, and he has nowhere to go. Okay, connect. Okay, and all that's left is like these center things. Oh yeah, and this. But this is Gote for both, so it's fine. Alright, so I'm gonna block one of his Sente. So that's pretty much all that's left. Block. And then there's just 3 dominant points. Make sure they don't activate cuts, and you're good. Watch out for those goose Desujis. And the goose Desuji is not a real term. It's just a term that we have in chat for Dame that activates Aji or weakness. So you gotta, these neutral points sometimes will cost you games if you rush them and are not careful. Sometimes they activate things and you just die. And we have a running joke of a goose Desuji, which is a funny story. So if you ever want to stop by in chat, ask me about it. Okay, let's see if there's any goose Desujis on his side. Cut, connect, nowhere to go. Cut, connect, Ane, cut, 1, 2 liberties to 1 liberty.
10.
Doesn't look like anywhere to go.
9, 8, 7,
okay.
6,
cut.
5,
Right.
4, 3.
I have 5 periods. I can think.
1.
Let's see. I go here. He goes here. I go here. He goes here. I go here. He goes here. Okay, he might die that way. So what if he goes the other way? Atari, I leave, connect. Block, then he goes down, 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 down. He has that shape, or ice shape, so that's definitely 2 eyes. Maybe that's too much reading. 10, reading life 9, and death. 8, if you think you 6, can do it, you can do it. 5, I don't think I can do it 4, though.
3, 2,
so pass. I don't think I can do it. Remove the dead stones. If you can't see it working, then just don't do it, right? Just finish the game. Okay, accept. Thank you for the game.
You have won.
Alright, and black wins by 15.5. Alright, so now you can see these cutting points are becoming really big, right? So that's kind of the thing that we added, was attacking our opponent. So in this case, we didn't really have any baseless groups to attack, but we did have cutting points that we could take advantage of. And you can see, like, immediately we're starting to gain lots of points and lots of value from those. That's how you can take a really giant lead. Like, a double-digit Q level, more than any other level, these cutting points are worth huge amounts of value. But after you get to, like, single-digit Q and beyond, everyone can start reading the cutting points pretty well, so you're not going to get as lucky anymore. But so at this level, this is the biggest value you can likely get. Is baseless groups and cutting points. Attacking those things, those 2 things, is going to get you an amazing amount of value. However, if you neglect your bases and neglect your cutting points, you risk giving your opponent that massive value. That is why it's the most important thing to learn at double digit Q. Bases and cutting points in the middle game. It's probably the most important thing for you to learn, because that's going to cost you the most games. So yeah, let's go ahead and review this game. Okay, so I started with a 3-4 point. That's fine. We play here. You can also play here. This is also fine. Yeah, Clossi Approach says right side over left side, but left side's also kind of big, so it's fine. We both made a position, and then I just built mine. Maybe a little bit more active way would be to approach here, and then if he defends, which is technically wrong, I can just jump back. Like, I wouldn't want to go low because that's low, low, low. So because I have support, I'd go high with a 2 space to make my base. And now I get a nice position. But because there's a nice position, white will probably want a pincer. And what are our pincers? Well, low if we want to just settle. So we can do this one. Boom, boom, boom. This is one of our josekis in our beginner joseki video. Okay, so there's this one to keep in that direction to prevent the combination. There's also this one if we want to think about influence. So if like we wanted to start thinking about influence, we could start maybe doing something like that and get some influence. So there is that to consider, but I think it's okay no matter what black does. 3-3 is also an option. I think the AI considers a 3-3 invasion as big as an open side. So you can say, okay, if there's no other open side and the 3-3 is open, you could also go here. There's a lot of like kind of like exception scenarios, like the 3-3 invasion. It's like, okay, how valuable is it? Is it as big as an open side, or is it slightly less? Is it slightly more? There's a lot of like what ifs, but honestly, it's like maybe 1 point difference. If you look at it with the AI, it's maybe like it's like less than 2 points difference, and it does not matter at this level. Okay, does not matter. So I just picked one. I just picked an extension. Okay, it's a little awkward, but it's fine. It's whatever. So black played here. White played here. I think white could have instead played down here. So even playing the move white played and then played like this, I think it's decent. And then approach, like defense, support on both sides, so fourth line. I think it's an okay position. It's pretty even. Okay, so white blocked. I played defense, and then white played here. So maybe you think that's a good exchange, but what if I played here and said I want to start a fight? Right? There's that idea, so you have to be careful about that. This is why you play the open sides first, because at higher levels there are questions. Just right now, I get it doesn't really matter. Let's play defense. Support on both sides, so I played fourth line. Here maybe I'm worried about my base. This is just a really big move. That's why I kind of did it. But let's say I wanted to pincer. Okay, then white runs away. And let's say white started going here. Well, now this Q3 stone looks all by its lonesome. It didn't actually get a base. Now, there are ways to respond to this, but now we're getting into reading territory and like single-digit Q territory. So for double-digit Qs, it's just defend your base. It's fine. It's fine. I think it might be worth mentioning why I'm playing 1 space here and here, but 2 space here, here. The reason it has to do with the corner and closing the corner with the 1 space jump, like the Shamari right here, and closing the corner with 1 space is so much easier to handle because the corner has a lot of weird little tricks. So in the corner, I prefer from the corner stone, I prefer 1 space lower high as an enclosure or for a base compared to 2 space. Because there's a lot of little tricks that you don't know about yet. So that maybe that's a good rule of thumb. But I noticed that I was doing that kind of unintentionally. 2 space is good on the side, but maybe from the cornerstone, 1 space is better for your base, just because there's a lot of little shenanigans that can go on in there. And it's just easier for you to handle if you just enclose your corners with 1 space jumps. It's just less stuff you have to worry about. Now, I'm not saying the 2 spaces are bad. I'm just saying eventually there's going to be more stuff to learn, and you can learn that later. Right now, just simple stuff. All right, so now we draw a line from stone to stone, boom to boom, boom to boom. And you can see, like, arguably white is a little bit closer to the center, so maybe maybe white has the bigger one. So maybe with these lines, I should have played like right here to reduce while also building. I could also do this. Reduce this line while also building. That's fine. But I was like, they look approximately close when I'm just eyeballing it. And what did I do? I didn't play perfect. I just played build mine with a cap. Could have also played a shoulder hit. Could have also played a shoulder hit. Like, there's many options. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 6 options that you can play here that are pretty simple. Shoulder hits and caps, basically. And all we're doing is looking at those lines. We're not, like, overcomplicating it. We're not getting into reading which one's the best yet. We're just looking at the line and being like, okay, let's just do something about that line. The follow-up for the shoulder hit, someone asked about the follow-up. So the follow-up to the shoulder hit is when they try to surround you, you do a 1-point jump. Even though you have 3 liberties, you do a 1-point jump. Because when they try to peep, you don't connect, but rather you play another jump. And the reason you do this is because the follow-up is a tiger's mouth with a tiger's mouth. So, the shoulder hit is actually arguably not a double-digit Q shape. Arguably. However, it's super effective at double-digit Qs. That's why I teach it. It's a super effective shape. All you need to know is jump, jump, tiger's mouth, tiger's mouth. Okay? This is why I teach it, because the follow-up isn't that difficult. It's just if you don't know the follow-up, maybe it's bad. But this is why I'm showing it and getting practice, and I'm glad you asked that question. Because the shoulder hit works because of the simple follow-up, but if you don't know the follow-up, the shoulder hit might be bad. But the follow-up's not too difficult, so that's why I'm playing it in the hopes that me showing how it works will be easy enough to follow that it actually will help you guys out. Because shoulder hits are really, really useful. So when they try to surround, you can jump. If they turn, you can also jump and do the same thing. But for other responses, there's also the Nobi. So there's the Nobi. And then jump. Or turn and then jump. So there's 2 responses. The jump and the Nobi. Okay? The jump is the one I want you to learn first. Learn that one first. And then the next one to learn is the Nobi. When you get used to these, the correct way to handle it is say, okay, look at the jump, look at the Nobi, which follow-ups look the best. This is more single-digit Q, maybe 12Q plus. Which, we have options now. Now we know what the follow-ups are because we've practiced them. So now, like, at 12Q, we'll talk about, like, choose which one looks the best. We have multiple options. Which one looks better? Okay? But at this level, I just want you to play it and learn the follow-ups. Learn how it works. Once you learn how it works, then you can compare. But what you can't do is say, I want to choose the Nobi over the jump when you don't know either of the follow-ups. So I want you to not be scared of the shoulder hit, because I think it's very powerful, and it's not difficult to learn. It's just a matter of learning it. Okay, so I want you to play the shoulder hit, and I want you to learn the jump first. All right, so someone said, what about when they attach to your jump? You mean like this? Okay, so they said this is common at this level. Okay, so this is actually an incorrect response. But this is a common shape, I think, at double-digit Q, so good question. When you have a jump on jump, whoever pushes first has the better shape. Okay, and then another jump. Whoever pushes first has the better shape. Look how solid black is, while white has 1 cutting point. Okay, whoever pushes first has the better shape. There are exceptions. So this, if you want to think about it, you can. The simple answer is push. Okay, that's the one I want the 15 Qs and 17 Qs to know is just push. Okay, that's simple enough. The more complex one is the Hane, when the bending around is more important. This is similar to the sacrifice play, Because look at that influence. So there's two responses. The simple one first. Learn this one first. Just push. Okay? Your opponent has 1 cutting point. You have 0. So locally, you have the better shape. Okay? The second one, a little bit more complex. The Hane. They don't have time to cut you because that's just unplayable. They can't cut that Hane. So they usually wedge to give you the cutting point. You play here, that's a ladder. Then if they cut here, you just sacrifice it. So you can see you're getting the influence. So you Hane when the influence is important. Otherwise, just wedge or push through. And that's the simple response. Yeah, that's the purpose of this series, is to give you guys shapes. Like, play these shapes, and I'm playing these shapes as well to give you guys examples of how these follow-ups work. Because these are super simple shapes, but learn the follow-ups and learn how they work, and then they'll be very powerful as you get stronger. And then you can learn higher level shapes like 2 space jumps and other stuff like that at single digit Q. Maybe like 5Q plus. But 1-point jumps, you can also get away with like 1-point jumps and understanding these 1-point jumps. For like up until like 3Q to 1 Dan, I think you can get away with it. The only 2 space jumps you need is for bases. Yeah, so sacrificing a stone like this is not double digit Q. Like, sacrificing a stone is not double digit Q. But if we say, okay, don't sacrifice a stone except with the shoulder hit, that's not that hard to apply. That's not that hard to apply. So that's why I'm teaching you the shoulder hit. And this is actually a lot of good questions, because I want you to learn the shoulder hit because it's super useful at this level for building a large framework. It's super powerful, and the follow-ups are not hard as long as you understand them. Okay, the other option is the cap. Okay, and I guess we can talk about some follow-ups from that. The cap, you can push, and then Hane, and then when you can, you Knights move ahead as soon as the cuts don't work. Or you can Knights move immediately. Now, the cap is a little bit similar to the 1-point jump. So when they push and cut, you can fight. If you control this area, you can potentially fight, but white controls this area. So this might be a little dangerous. But you can also just sacrifice it. And they have to go until there's 4 in a row. You can also just sacrifice and build this. You can also play another Knights move and get ahead. Look who has the biggest framework. Black does. Okay. This might be a little difficult. Maybe it's a little bit difficult to apply this. But practicing this, getting game reviews, watching these videos, understanding how to use caps and shoulder hits is understanding what follow-ups to use to control the center. And if you control the center at this level, it's like a cheat code at double digit Q. Okay, it's just unbearably big. Like, there's no strong players that will not beat a double digit Q in the center, because if they know how to build the center and you don't, it's so big. It's like cheating, basically. So if you learn these shoulder hits and caps for largest framework, you're basically learning the cheat codes of double digit Q in the middle game. Okay, this is why I teach it. It's not that it's exactly a double digit Q shape. It's just the follow-ups are not impossible for you to learn, and they're super effective at your level. That's why I teach shoulder hits and caps for the center. Instead of just like, oh, just go invade your opponent's area and never worry about the center. No. This is like cheat codes for double digit Q, is controlling the center. Playing on the largest framework and making it bigger. If it's yours, make it bigger. If it's your opponent's, don't let them make that bigger, because that's really scary. Playing on the largest framework is super big, and you'll very naturally start controlling the center if you do it. If you do it correctly. The ways to do it: caps, shoulder hits, and 1-point jumps. Like, 1-point jump is another way to build. But in this board, shoulder hits and caps are just more active. But I think 1-point jump here, maybe even here and here, would have also been acceptable. But shoulder hits and caps are a little bit more active, so if you can, they're just a little bit better. Yeah, so Hopefully that makes sense. I don't think the follow-ups are hard. It's just a matter of being shown them. And how do you get shown them if you don't play them and they get game reviews? Okay, if you don't play the shoulder hitter caps, how could you learn the follow-ups? The follow-ups aren't difficult to learn, it's just a matter of learning them. Okay, how do you learn it if you never play it? So that's why I'm encouraging you to do these for controlling the center, because controlling the center at double digit Q is just it's too good. It's too powerful. So here we actually fought for control of the center. So I did check the knight's move. He pushed, like, if he cuts, Nobi is your first consideration. You can also Atari the Nobi. I control this area. White does not control this area, so this fight is in my advantage. Like, if you look at A, black controls this area, and now you look at B, white does not control this area. So this fight is in my advantage. I'm fine with that. Okay. So that's why I did that. If you didn't want to, you could also play a diagonal and then a knight's move here or something. It's a little more passive, but that's something. Yeah, so all I'm doing is just trying to make my line more than white's line. Okay, so remember how white's line was like over here before? So I've already pushed it back a bit, and I've made my line go from right here to like right here. So this is where the lines, let's get a different color for this. Yeah. This is where the line was. Okay. I've pushed white's to there and mine to here. So you can see I'm growing while pushing his down, while watching my cutting points. That is fighting for control of the center. Fighting for control of the center. Okay? And then white started doing it. Now, I think a shoulder hit would have been easier, but, you know, you don't have to. You just play on that line is still possible. So what did I do? I'm watching the lines. I'm like, okay, it's about equal. I'm just drawing a line in the center. Just divide the board in half. Boop. Divide the board in half. Okay, I have a section right here. White has a section right here. Let's cancel those out. And then I have all of that. White has all of that. Okay? So as long as I block on that line, mine's bigger. Okay, so I blocked. White pushed it. Like, okay, I'm blocking. I'm still... Now it's equal. And then white played, and it's still equal. Because watching the center line. If white had played here, though, now mine is smaller. So now I have to start reducing. And a 1-point jump just makes sense here. I could also do a diagonal. It's a little more difficult. Because when I jump, I have no escape route that way. So this 1-point jump makes more sense here. I could go here. But instead of that has a cutting point. I would have to do this for a tiger's mouth. But maybe that's not our normal shapes. That's a little bit of the exception. So just simple is better. If you have a simple option, just pick the simple option. So once white made his bigger, we're good. Double knight's move is a little scary, but I'm also playing double knight's move. So let's look at these cuts, right? So this cut is a ladder, so this cut's okay. Also jump through. It's a ladder. It's okay. But maybe you're like, oh, but if I Atari, he goes here. Okay, so maybe we want a Nobi. Guess what? 3 liberties and 2 liberties. Still okay. Okay, because we don't have to Atari. We can also Nobi. We can also go here. Okay, so let's look at these cuts now. Nobi. Nobi. Who controls this area? Black. Am I getting control? No, I have a base. So this is only white weak. Only white is weak here. So that's good for me. I don't mind a fight where it's good for me. What about this one? Like here, same thing. I have a base. I control this area. None of my stuff is weak. White is weak. Now, I'm not saying read out the whole fight. That's not possible at this level. But you should not back down from fights in an area that you control. Don't be scared of those. You want those to happen. That's like a great thing, because you will control that fight. Now, I'm not saying you'll control it perfectly the first few times you do it, but starting a fight in an area you control is a heck of a lot better than starting a fight in an area that both of you are fighting over or that your opponent controls. So, as white, do you really want a weak group inside of this black area? That's going to be hard. You want the game to be easy. Why do you want a hard game? It's not impossible. Maybe some opponents will do that, and some opponents like doing that. Some opponents love invading areas like this and just outfighting you. Okay? Some opponents excel at that. Okay? But why do you want to do that? That's not easy. It's a hard game. Not an impossible game, but it's hard. Why do you want to play hard stuff? So you shouldn't back down from situations that are hard for your opponent and easy for you. It's not guaranteed to be good for you, but it's going to be a lot more likely that you will control this fight than white will. So you shouldn't back down from it. Because you have to fight and go. You can't run away from fights. You have to fight and go. If you want to get a lead, you have to pick a fight, and you have to take the advantage and make a positive exchange rate. So you want to be like, okay, I have to pick a fight, so I would prefer to pick the fight in the area that I control than the area I don't. Because if you don't ever fight, you can't take a lead. Unless you're just much, much better than your opponent. So it's about controlling where the fights go. So that's why you shouldn't be scared of this knight's move. Because let's try to cut. Boom, boom, boom. Nobi. Nobi. Okay? This is looking a little scary for white, which is understandable. Black controls this, but white controls this. So black is weak, but white is also weak. But guess what? Let's go maybe a little bit more. Boom. Wait, no, it's white's turn even. Oh, man. Boom. Yeah, just one more. Diagonal for defense. Sorry, diagonal for defense. Who's really weak here? Is it white or black? I'm pretty sure black is way too weak to pull this off. And this is also one of the concepts that we have. Don't attack with weakness. Why is black trying to attack this white stone without a base? Okay, why are these black stones trying to attack these white stones? That just doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think this is okay. Like, oh, I'm gonna run. Boom, boom, boom. Defense. Stay connected. Run away. Where does black go? Okay. Don't be afraid of a fight in your area. Now, it's not something that's super easy, but it should be something that you shouldn't back down from. There are exceptions, but you'll never learn them until you try to play Knight's moves. Okay, Knight's moves and Hanes are cuttable shapes, but you'll never learn how to deal with those fights if you back away from them every single time. The Knight's moves, just do it in areas that you control when you're controlling the fight. Either pushing your opponent down and you control the left, or when your opponent's too weak to cut you. Those are your 2 times when you're attacking or reducing. Those are your times to play like Hanes and Knight's moves. They're a little risky, but very powerful. Yeah, there's pretty much exceptions to everything except the rules. But you need to learn the stuff that works 90% of the time or even 80% of the time before you can learn those exceptions. So learn the simple stuff first. Okay, at what point does invasion become no longer possible? I would say at this point, invading black is pretty much unreasonable. Because at this point, for black, there's no longer any escape routes. Okay, so let's talk about how invasions work. So if I was to invade, what is my goal? So I'm going to approach a 4th line stone. Okay, that's my basics. Approach a 4th line stone. What does black do? Well, if black blocks, you just make a base and make some ice base. You're already almost alive. Okay, so that's not good. So first thing, we take the base. Okay, when you lose the base, what's step 2? Run away. But there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. Okay, so running away just doesn't make sense here. So you're at step 3, which is eye space. So we start sliding, we maybe play attachments, and we start trying to get some eye space. Okay? Now, here, that's the normal invasion. But when you have nowhere to go, when you can't even threaten to get out, to get shape. So like normally, let's say I play here, I might threaten to escape to get some extra shape for ice shape. But if I don't have anywhere to go, my opponent's not going to block my escape route. My opponent's just going to block my move. Block my ice space. I can't go anywhere. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? There's nowhere to go. So, when there's no escape route, so you can't even threaten to escape to make shape. You can't even threaten it. There's no escape routes. Well, guess what? Black can actually attack you even more severely. Okay? Black can actually go right here. So instead of attacking you from the third line, you can be attacked from the second line. Second line attacks are almost always bad because you just force that stone back and then run away. And so second line attacks get very little points, so very little profit, and your opponent can just escape. But you know when they're really good? When that escape means nothing. When there's no escape route, second line attacks become super powerful. Okay, it's also the answer to how to kill the 3/3. So if we're like super solid, right? And Black's like, I'm going to invade your 3/3. Well, there's no escape route, okay? So instead of playing the normal, I think it's this one. Instead of playing the normal variation where Black makes a ko right here, if you don't know it, it's okay. Just instead of playing that, what if I attack you from the second line, like here or maybe here? And say, I'm going to attack you from the second line. You're like, okay, I'm going to expand my ice space. And I'm like, I'm going to take your ice space. I'm going to go here. I attack you from the second line. I'm going to go here. You barely have one eye, if that. And where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go. So you can kill the 3/3 if you have no escape routes. Now, is it easy to kill something? No, it's a life and death problem. There are people who excel at invasions. Sometimes you will mess up and sometimes it will live. So sometimes you'll have a position like this, your opponent will play here, and it'll live. Probably because their invading skills are better than your attacking skills. Okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good idea. So what you do whenever you get a position like this, and they have no escape routes, and you're like, okay, they have no escape routes, I attack from the second line, and they, oh, thank you for the sub distracted, and they attack, and you attack from the second line, and they still live, that's a perfect game to get reviewed. Ask someone stronger, hey, did I attack from the second line at the wrong timing because they had escape routes? Or did they have some forcing moves that I just didn't know about? Or did I just miss a chance or play bad shape and let them live? That's a perfect time to understand more about invasions. Is when you have a position and they invade and you couldn't kill it, get it reviewed. That's a learning experience. It's not a bad thing that this lives. It's just another opportunity to learn. Like we said earlier, there is exceptions to everything, but do the things that work most of the time, and on the times that they don't, try to understand why. What was the difference? What was the exception? What stone in here made this particular situation different compared to all the others? But you're never going to learn that until you learn this first. Okay, so when they have a position like this, they invade, attack from the second line if there's no escape routes. But again, attacking from the second line is bad if there's escape routes. It's really, really bad. Don't do this if there's escape routes. But that's why I wasn't worried about invasions. Alright, so I blocked the cutting point here. So I was looking at this cutting point like, okay. Boom, boom, nothing. Boom, 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 nothing. But I did see boom, 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 boom. Well, that's potentially something. So he played here. And I was like, okay, if I go play here. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. But you could also go boom, 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 boom. Okay, maybe I didn't need to defend. It was just points. But I was like, okay, maybe there's something there. You know what? I made a mistake. Who cares? Right? I thought there was a cut. I reviewed it. I was wrong. Whatever. So I thought there was a cut. I defended it. But second line, this is a huge chance for you. So double digit Q, when your opponent plays on the second line, you want to ask yourself, is this a chance for Sente? Second line, Sente. Second line, try to take Sente. Second line, try to take Sente. That's a hint, okay? If they play on the second line, is it your base? Is this my base? No, I have eye space right here. I'm connected to a base right here. I'm okay. I'm not going to get attacked. Does it activate my cutting point? No. Okay? Nothing is wrong with my position except for the territory. Okay, if it's just territory and nothing else, then you have to ask, is this the largest framework on the board? So if white goes in, is this section right here? Because this circle is here. It's not this whole section. White doesn't, this stone does not break into that. So you have to ask yourself, is this section of the board the biggest section on the board? Is it the biggest framework on the board? No. This is clearly bigger because this stone does break into all that. Okay, so I just went for the biggest framework. Now, if you blocked, it's not the end of the world because it was actually Sente. But if you fix your cut and then they go block, well, guess what? They got more because you didn't play in the largest framework. Second line is a good chance for you to get a big move for free. Now, after you do all the big stuff, after you're out of big frameworks, let's say I played big, he played big, I played big, he played big, I played big, he played big. Okay, we're out of big moves. These are bad moves, but we're out of big moves. Now go fix, because now it's big. The timing is important. But second line can be a really big hint for double-digit Qs because there's a lot of wasted moves on the second line. So he blocked. Not bad. I pushed. So he pushed, but guess what? He played a bad shape. What is the shape? This is a pre-peeped 1-point jump. What's our shape to get ahead? Knight's move. Why? Because 1 cutting point versus 2 cutting points. And yeah, the cutting point didn't work immediately. But guess what it did do? I actually had it to Tsuji here. This is not a double-digit Q move. But if you try to cut this, boom, 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 boom. Can't block because your whole bottom side dies. Boom, boom, bottom side dies. But guess what? We're not reading yet. We're not reading yet. But we are building good habits. Lots of cutting points is scary. There may not necessarily be anything a problem yet, but the more Aji you have, the more likely a Tsuji will come up. And if you want to learn Tsujis, you do Go problems, like 101weichi.com. Go problem sets. You can buy Tsuji books. Guess what? Tsujis are born from Aji, or weakness. What is this? This is weakness. This is Aji. The more Aji you have in a position, the more likely a Tsuji will happen. So you can't know Tsujis exist at this level just because you haven't learned them yet. But you can build good habits of playing shapes with less Aji. So I didn't even actually activate it. I just walked in, and guess what he did again? Another pre-peeped 1-point jump on 2 areas. What does that do? Boom, 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 boom. Look at the amount of cutting points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cutting points. At this point, it becomes really easy. I don't even need a Tsuji. I just need to read my cutting points. What's the response? Knight's move. Okay. Then it's really easy to block the bottom side. Yes, I can still walk, but that's because of the shape earlier. You can't really Hana. You have to jump and then block. Yes, there's still a cutting point, but now it's just 2 stones instead of the whole area. You get complex really fast because dealing with Aji has to do with reading. Like once you start having Aji, now you start having to apply reading. And reading's hard. Reading's really hard at this level. Okay? So just play simple shapes like don't 1-point jump to get ahead if you have cutting points. Knight's move to get ahead. Less things to read. Less Aji. So he saw it, and he, okay. Now here, he played a block. Well, you're supposed to block with a cap, not a touch. Why? because it sets up, it's bad liberties, it sets up more cutting points. Double knight's move might have also been good here. There's a knight's move to get ahead. Boom, 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 boom. Less cutting points. What I had to do, I just walked, and another pre-peeped 1-point jump. Walked, more cutting points. Okay, that is the big difference between my position and his position right here. Even though they were about equal, maybe Black had a little bit more, I was able to break through a lot more because of these cutting points. Because instead of playing a knight's move to get ahead, he played a pre-peeped 1-point jump to get ahead. So the difference of one shape, just knowing that one shape, that one idea, is causing White such a headache. But this is why we learn the good shapes first. We learn defense first. Because if we don't know how to stop our opponent from walking into our position with good shape, we can't have a position. Like, nothing works. Because if we don't know how to block, then we can't have territory. Because we don't know how to stop our opponent from just cutting through. But once we learn how to block, once we learn defense first, from 19Q to 17, 19 to 17Q, we learn good shape first, blocking, watch our cutting points, read our cutting points, make our bases, right? We learn defense first. Now, once we know defense, we can check our opponent's stuff at 17Q and say, does he know defense? Does he know the good shape? And now we can start checking their cutting points. We can start checking their baseless groups. Okay, 19Q, just focus on your crap first. Because you don't want to attack with bad shape, it'll backfire. But focus on your crap first. Once you have good shape, good defense, then you could start opening up your eyes to look at their stuff too. Like, fix your stuff, and then check their stuff. If their stuff is good, fine, go play big move. But if their stuff's not good, then walk through, and you'll just win games. It'll just win you games. So if you're stuck at 19Q to 17Q, this concept very easily could just jump you up several ranks. Because cutting points and attacking is so powerful. But make sure you play defense first. Defense first, and then punish these things. It's so powerful. Okay, and now I just start endgame. This one, blocking and threatening to cut is better. Because I can do that and then come down here and also get these. But the way White could have handled this, like, yes, it's a ko, but guess what? Boom, boom, fix my cutting point. Boom, 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 boom. So White could have saved the stone. So since he could have saved the stone anyway, I just play here. It's simpler. Could have even gotten worse. Maybe he went here and, like, tried to invade. Like, it starts getting scary really fast. But it's okay. If you don't see it, you don't see it. It's fine. I played it and it worked out. So that is why I was saying that this one's better. Just block it with no Aji. And then go play a big move. But it's fine. Check your opponent's cutting points is good. Here is better because the cut doesn't work. There's nothing there. And it's just more points. Boom, 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 boom. There's just more points. Then boom, 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 boom. A little bit less. But it's fine. If you don't have to play perfect. 2 points is not going to decide a game at 15Q. Maybe it does. I don't want to say it won't, but usually the mistake, you're not going to lose the game because of a 2-point mistake. You're going to lose the game because you missed a cutting point, or you didn't defend something, or you didn't play enough big moves. Like, something big is usually the reason you lose games. I was considering this cutting point because boom, 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 and then turn. But when you walk down, White just lives, and Black will die. These are second line basics. Black will die. This one, though, was the chance for him to mess up. Maybe it's still I versus no I. So maybe it's done alright, but there was, like, opportunity for White to mess up. But I was like, I see how to respond to it. I see how to counter it, so I'm not going to do it. But it's good that it's good to have it to check. Here versus here, I mean, it doesn't really matter. This is just big for White. So I eyeballed it and said that was bigger. This is another common mistake. You have 2 responses. Actually, you have like 3 responses here to block. Okay. Sometimes I'll see students that instantaneously block or instantaneously block. They don't even consider the other options. So when you have multiple options to block, look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just 5 moves. It's like a ladder. It's not difficult to read. There's no Tsujis. There's no crazy crap happening. And then boom, 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 boom. Oops. 3 peeped 1-point jumps. Oops. Maybe boom, 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 boom. Oh. Getting scary. Well, guess what? 2 Tiger's Mouths is a lot easier. Now there's no pre-peeped 1-point jumps. Now it's just 1 cut, and it goes nowhere. So I'm just looking at my cutting points. Which one has the least amount of cutting points? Which one has more solid connections? And if you want, you can even ask yourself, which one does the job, which is block without cutting points, with the most amount of territory? Because maybe this one does it. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes you'll get a really weird shape, but it's worth more territory and has a strong connection. Well, guess what? You're never going to see that stuff if you don't give yourself options to consider. Instantaneous responses are just not... Are you just giving you're losing opportunities to gain a point. You're giving your opponent opportunities to accidentally cut you. You gotta be careful with that. Instantaneous responses are a good way to lose at the end. Or even in the middle game. Instantaneous responses is a good way to just lose. If you have options, consider them. Yeah, that is another Clossi Approach video. So again, this isn't the 19Q. I do apologize for that, but we didn't have any 19 to 17 Qs. But I wanted to get you guys a video this week, so hopefully you guys did enjoy that. So this was a Clossi Approach to 17 to 15Q. And our opponent was a 15Q. Again, thank you, Distracted, for volunteering again. If you guys want to volunteer, I am recording these on Wednesdays right now. I don't know when you're watching this in the future, but right now, as we're recording, if you're in the next couple weeks of this video releasing, check out stream on Wednesdays to maybe potentially be a volunteer. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.